Hey, folks, it's your buddy Mike Messier, and I just thought I'd do something a little bit fun, spontaneous. Although I did plan this a full 40 minutes in advance, I thought I'd do a little interactive what's in the bag. Now, this time the bags are more like envelopes, but that's okay. And I think this is going to kind of segue into some pro wrestling memories videos that I do in the future. I'm looking at myself on the monitor here. I'm seeing that there might be a bit of a lag time, and so you might see this is a little choppy. I'll work on that. But let's first take a look at this first envelope. I don't know if you can see it there, if it's just kind of dissipating in my head. This modern technology, it's so interesting. So let's see. This is what I typically do here. I try to open the envelope. I'm going to be very ginger. Now, my Facebook friends know that I've taken issue with the word ginger in the past few days being used to reference redheaded people. I think that's kind of presumptuous or obnoxious. Okay, so here we have a nice envelope. It's interesting to see how this thing, if delicately opening, trying to be very cognitive of the materials inside, the person who sent these to me. This is all the way from just called Scott T. from Stephentown, New York, a fellow wrestling fan, presumably. So he did something kind of interesting. He put all the cards into one little case. Like, I thought they were all going to come in separate little plastic shell, plastic things, but he jammed them all into one, which is okay. I guess I didn't purchase the case, although, I mean, it would have cost him 2 cents per whatever the fuck. But anyway, we'll give the fucker a pass, I guess. So we've got the Flying Brian collection, basically. Now, I think at one point I probably had all these cards, but, people don't understand that when you're in certain family situations and your family uproots and moves and there's different parents involved, sometimes your personal property gets compromised. Some people understand that, other people don't. But we see this nice Flying Brian. As people know, I'm a big Pillman fan, and recently met his son. Nice guy, who's doing well in AEW. I might just take off this background because it seems to be botching up everything. Any comments? I guess there's some comments here. Let's see. Thanks, Eric. I do like the background. It's just kind of screwing up the whole thing. So I was going to take the background off because it's seemingly screwing up the images here. It's a little bit better. I just want to show these cards because I do have some more things. Let's see. Eric says, nice background, all about podcasts. Hey, Mike. Hey, the All About Wrestling podcast. Would love to be on that show again at some point. I think I've been on there a few times, haven't I? Lawrence Laza Johnson, a good actor from Australia. I believe Lawrence sent me his video. Took place in a subway. If you want to link that, Lawrence, the YouTube, feel free to link that, and I'll put it up there for you, buddy. Now, that's a nice match. Pillman beating up. I'm getting confused with this whole camera. That's Pillman beating up Flair. That must be like 90, 91. Pillman once again with Pillman and looks like Flair again. Yeah. So did I just drop one of these cards? Oh, let's see here, folks. I have to lift Pillman and Flair with a side headlock. Looks like they took a bunch of pictures in one match, which is fine. These are from like the 1991 cards, but they were probably photographed in 90. If you ever seen Capital Combat 1990, they had a really good match between Flying Brian and the Z-Man, U.S. Tag Team title match against here's a good friend. Thanks. This is sentimental value, buddy. LJN King. Jesus. Let's see. Pillman with the Black Scorpion or somebody. Just Pillman putting the headlock on someone. Some random mask guy. It could be a Black Scorpion, but I don't know if Black Scorpion. Here's a good question for WCW fans at the time. Why did the Black Scorpion get any of those title matches against Sting? Who did he beat? Now, granted, that was 30-something years ago, but still, Ole Anderson or Jim Herd should be held accountable. Let's see. Get some comments. Thanks for the comments. Mox is hugely influenced by Loose Cannon Pillman. Yeah, that's true. There was an action figure set with the two of them together that I once had an opportunity to purchase, and I didn't. I just thought I was getting too many action figures in my life. Okay, folks. Now we're going to take some more comments. Let's see. Gave this video a share. Thanks very much. Appreciate that, Laurence, with the wrestling groups. Laz's Pro Wrestling Fan Group, which I'm a proud member of. I did have some nice controversy the other day. Oh, by the way, I forgot to open, but this is actually a wrestling magazine. I botched the opening. It's okay, LJN. I do have Greg Valentine over here, by the way. So this is something I thought I'd start doing, kind of to sponsor the Pro Wrestling Memories. Now, this magazine I've actually had for probably 6 or 7 months, and I just never bought this magazine. Do the fans expect too much from Barry Windham? This is kind of an inside joke. My friend over on Twitter, one of my YouTube subscribers, Johnny Z from New York, good guy, him and Kevin Castle like to bust my chops about my fanhood of Barry Windham. I just thought Barry Windham's a good wrestler. Okay, folks, see, this just brings back memories. I mean, look, the hard, lean stomach, obviously, I got that as a child, and I've been using it ever since. Stu Sachs. Now, this, I'm really going to try to translate because I know some of you guys are younger than me, and some may be the same age-ish, but back in the day, look at this shit. Freebird Michael Hayes, Bad Street, USA. This was part of the wrestling fan experience of that time zone, was these magazines. And for instance, you turn on this magazine and you got this wonderful blood of fucking Tommy Rich. And who's he beating up there? Hickerson, Phil Hickerson. What's your take on the Cody AEW story? Whoa, cool, PWI mag, huge part of my youth. Yeah, Eric, I'm a big fan of these old wrestling magazines, and I was trying to explain that, kind of, I don't know how to talk about this without getting all pissed off, but just as a child where, when I was a child, some of my belongings were not as respected as they should have been by other members of my immediately family, I guess. And some of my magazines were kind of sacrificed through different moves or reorganizations. But I mean, I just used to, that's why I'm ordering some of these fucking magazines on Craigslist, because I'm trying to reclaim my childhood. Now, people who've had a pearly white background and just lived in the same house their whole lives couldn't relate to this, but I'm trying to reclaim my own history in a sense. I used to have a trunk full of all these wrestling magazines, and Hernandez files protest and title us. Now, you see how this is what the modern day fucking fan won't get because of the internet and everything else, and just that things are communicated in a different way. This is what you call selling for a fucking foreign object. Look at Barry Windham, the fear in his eyes as Dick Slater holds this weapon to his head. I mean, this is why wrestling just seemed a little bit better back then. Okay, Kerry Von Erich, a nice poster. This is a guy that, a lot of guys in this era kind of looked up to as a discus punch. And unfortunately, he had that horrible motorcycle accident, kind of why I've never really been interested in motorcycles. God damn it. They had all these little things like the favorite maneuver, the greatest match. This was just good stuff. And for today's young fan, I don't know if the wrestling how you interpret wrestling, knowing all the kayfabe stuff, knowing, God damn, look at this. This is pre-WrestleMania, folks. This is December 1984 magazine, which really means this magazine probably went to press in September of 84. they're talking about the TV wars back then. Gordon Soley kind of getting the rub as being the main guy there. Unbelievable. So they're talking about Black Saturday. This is just wonderful memories. I mean, the whole point is I'm trying to show you guys the memories too. But it's just a lot of fun. Okay, as far as this Cody AEW thing, buddy, goes, I did a whole podcast about that the other day. You're welcome to check it out, Eric. It's still available here on Subscribe to Mike Messier YouTube channel. My feelings are that he's doing it for the money, and that's okay. I mean, look, do I think he'll be used well or properly, or I don't know. And do I think that there's some type of internal heat at AEW? Probably. I mean, look, things couldn't have been all rosy and sunshine if he left. At the same time, one thing I heard today, a little wrinkle in the story, is that Cody's contract was for 3 years with a 2-year, after 2 years, Tony Khan could renew it or whatever. And I guess the deal is that Cody's been working without a contract for a couple of months, including his most recent third AEW title run. That, of course, ended with that great ladder match against Sammy Guevara. I can never say that guy's name right. So what's my thoughts on it? I think it's just a thing where, kind of like if you ever heard the story of Eric Bischoff talking about how he allowed Brian Pillman to go get more money in WWE, and that he being Bischoff did not think that the powers that be, I'll be right back on camera, that he did not think the powers that be at WCW would allow for Brian Pillman to get more money that they were already offering. So Bischoff let Pillman go. He let Pillman get released. He signed the release papers. Of course, they made an angle over at ECW. Then Pillman ends up at WWF for a lot more money. And Bischoff claims, and I don't think he's lying on this one, although Bischoff probably has lied about other things. Bischoff claims that he wanted Pillman to get more money because they were kind of friendly. And he wasn't the type of guy to stop a guy from getting more money. So my point is, I think Tony Khan, if he and Cody had an honest discussion, they weren't happy with the fans' reaction, perhaps, of Cody being a booed baby face. It just wasn't something they wanted to put all that energy into. Maybe Cody didn't want to go heel. I don't know if you guys can see me or not. My screen is all screwed up, so I'm just seeing myself in black screen. Let me know if you guys are hearing what I'm saying here, guys, because I just see black screen. I don't even see myself on the monitor right now. But basically, I think Tony Khan could have helped Cody quite a bit if he lets him go to WWE, lets him get his big payday. And I think the biggest question now is creatively, what can they do with WWE with Cody? I mean, I think he obviously could be used to put over Roman Reigns. They could squeeze that into WrestleMania if they really wanted to push it. If they really want to do something different, they could have Cody versus Roman at WrestleMania and, take a pause from the Brock Lesnar stuff. I wouldn't be totally shocked if they do that. I think it would be a worthy main event, and I think, but at the same time, WWE would be acknowledging AEW as somewhat on their level, and which is kind of the most interesting thing about it. Similar to how Ric Flair was treated in 91, 92, coming over to WWF, they put Flair in all these main events with Hogan right away. I think the LA Felt Forum, and eventually they had Flair win the Royal Rumble 92, I think in Albany, New York. But once you put a guy from a different company in your main event scene, you're tipping your hat, you're acknowledging them. And I guess you could say the same thing if you wanted to about AJ Styles coming in from, I guess he was in New Japan, but he was really known for TNA for 10 or 12 years before that. Talking about AJ Styles. Samoa Joe, they made him go to NXT. I don't know if you guys can see me or not, because I'm just seeing black screen on my camera from right now. So let me know if you guys can see me on camera. I don't even know if we're still on. Hopefully we are. But basically, yes, leave a comment, Laurence or Eric or somebody, LJ and King. Let me know if you can still see me, because I'll show more nostalgia stuff. But I'm just having this weird black screen on my camera here. I think the Cody thing is interesting, and I think it might be the most interesting topic. People can't stop talking about it. Like I've tried to talk reason with people on Twitter and say, hey, folks, we've been through this before. We've seen wrestlers jump feds before, so it's not the end of the world. Wrestling will go on. In fact, one thing I'm going to talk about, okay, thanks, Eric. One thing I want to talk about, guys, is that in my AEW Apologist video number 22, I just talked to Mike Monty at Monty and the Pharaoh YouTube channel. He told me to keep on doing the videos because they're getting some good views over there. And you guys are also welcome to watch those videos. Those are not interactive. They're just me. Usually on Saturday or Sunday, I tape them. But I want to make a point this week that it's not the end of the world for Cody leaving. And in fact, I think AEW is going to do quite good without Cody. I think that most recent Dynamite this past Wednesday, 2 nights ago, was actually pretty good. Okay, folks, we're going to take a little preview now of something I'm going to do in the future. Now, this is going to be Mike's Nostalgia. I'm going to show actual photographs and artifacts of my own days as a wrestling fan. You can try to figure out my age if you want. But I'm just going to show you some pictures that either I took or my Uncle Mike took, the guy that I was named after. So here we see Spike Dudley doing a nice kind of flip off the ropes onto Just Incredible. Now, I'm going to try to remember as best I can that I think this was taken. I'm sorry that there's a date on the photo, because this is actual print, folks. This is like from a real 35 millimeter camera. I might be selling some of these photographs as well if anyone's interested. This is Spike Dudley doing a nice flip on Just Incredible. These two guys actually came to a show that I went to live. That I was the ring announcer of. It was called Power League Wrestling, a small group that I was the ring announcer of. And these guys came and were attendants in Rhode Island because they were local Rhode Island guys, Just Incredible. Matt, where Spike Dudley still lives in Rhode Island. I've actually become social with both of these guys. Really two nice guys. Matt is not taking bumps these days. Last time I checked, he was doing insurance. He had a wife and a kid. He was very happy. Folks, this is a great story. Guess who this is? Can you see this, folks? This gentleman recently passed away. His name is Larry Sharp on the right, the Caucasian gentleman with the glasses. And guess who's that right next to him? Guess who that is, folks? I'll try to get a better picture for you. Trying to get the sun, the light off his face. But basically that's none other than the Godfather, Charles Wright, Papa Shango himself. Come on, the Fighting Machine. I took that picture, and that is that's in Baltimore. Yeah, that's in Baltimore, folks. So that is the day of, guess when that was? The 1989 Great American Bash is when that was. The day of. And I asked them if this, because I knew who Larry Sharp was. Charles had not appeared on television yet. So I said to Larry Sharp, is your guy there? Are you trying to get him booked? I don't know what I said, but I said, are you trying to get him to wrestle, or are you trying to get him a job or whatever? And Larry said, we're trying. And so the point is, I heard that later on, I gave a copy of this photo to the Godfather about 3 or 4 years ago at a wrestling show. He was doing the autographs. I gave him a picture of himself, which he liked. And I think I gave a copy to him, and I had him sign a copy for me. And nice guy. And he didn't remember meeting me there, but he remembered going. And the story was that they were trying to get him booked, and he was kind of a backup for the 2-ring battle royal. They missed out because he would have been a good addition. Can you imagine if the Godfather had come in to WCW in '89? But of course, I think he was called the Soul Taker at this time and had just been doing some maybe USWA stuff or Memphis, but they didn't really have a gimmick for him. Later on that day, folks, the first match of that card was the Skyscrapers. Yes, that is true about the Godfather. Can you see this, guys? I'm trying to get a nice close-up. That's Sid Vicious and Danny Spivey with Teddy Long. And that's the 2-ring. Can you see how good my seats were for God damn. That was really, you're talking about one of the better days of my life, to be honest with you. A great time that we were at that show. And let's see. I think they still are, Lawrence. And you know who Power League Wrestling's #1 alumnus is, believe it or not, is Fandango. Fandango, whatever his real name was, he and I weren't there at the same time, but Fandango was the #1 guy who was like the Power League Wrestling champion, and then he went on to the WWE and NXT, of course. Check this out, guys. You see who that is? I think I was able to give this guy a copy of this photo as well, I think, because that would have been the New England Hall of Fame in 2013. But this picture was way before then. This is from April of 1988, I believe, and that is the Mighty Warlord. My buddy Jason, that was his favorite wrestler at the time. I tell you, one thing about my pal, I got to say this story. My friend Jason was just a huge Warlord fan when we were kids. And so as an adult, I had one of those Warlord action figures, like those little, the Hasbros. And my buddy and I went out for dinner, and I pulled out of my pocket, I had got this Warlord action figure for him. So we're in the restaurant. It's kind of like a small restaurant, not many people around. But my friend freaked out. Like he said, "Put that away." He got all defensive, thinking that the people in the restaurant were going to care that I just gave him an action figure of a wrestler. Like he was so suburbanized and such a sellout to society, what he thought. And I mean, first of all, people do not care. People don't give a shit if you've got a wrestling action figure at the dinner table. But he had been so neutered and castrated by society and what he thought society's expectations were. And that's, and my buddy did the whole wife and 2 kids thing. And that's when I knew that he had sold his soul, quite honestly. Primetime Brian Lee. I mean, if you're really going to think that people are going to give a shit if you have an action figure at the table, I mean, nobody's looking, nobody gives a fuck. You know what I mean? But it's just that some people are so inhibited by what they think society feels and thinks, that they're just living in a coffin, like a movable coffin. That's Primetime Brian Lee. I think this is before that god-awful bump he took in the scaffold match with our buddy Tommy Dreamer there, if you remember that one. I don't know if you ever saw that ECW match where I'll put the ECW background on just for now. I still can't see myself in the monitor. I can see myself in the little monitor, but whatever. As long as you guys are seeing this, it's Primetime Brian Lee. Go back to the comments. I missed a couple guys. Warlord and Barbarian are still in great shape. True. I saw them last at the New England Hall of Fame 2013. I did some stuff doing online columns, play-by-play or introductions for Queensland Championship Wrestling. Sounds interesting. In Australia, some videos of the show highlights are still up on YouTube. Oh, very good. Like I said, Lawrence, you can put the video link and for LJN and for Eric and for our other buddy there, All About Wrestling Podcast. You can put the links up and I'll share them. I'm a nice guy. Let's see. I'm trying to see this one. This looks like, that's Kevin Sullivan and Mike Rotundo. Now talk about a historical photo, guys. You know why this is historical? Because this is an angle that was not shown on television. This is at the 89 Great American Bash pay-per-view. And after Sullivan and Rotundo lost a pretty wild tag team match to the Steiners, a Texas Tornado match, which WCW didn't really do a whole lot of, but they did that night. After they lost, Sullivan and Rotundo did the old tease a breakup. But while this was going on, they did a shoving contest. The WCW pay-per-view feed had already moved on to something else. So it's just kind of a cool photo because you didn't even see that on the pay-per-view feed. All right, Lawrence has got another question. I can say that I got to do ring introductions on a QCW show that Tony Storm wrestled on pre-WWE. Oh, that's cool. Very cool, man. Tony Storm, she wasn't very treated very well once she got to the main roster. Very pretty woman. And good wrestler, of course. QCW show, Tony Storm. Hacksaw Jim Duggan and the King, Harley Race. Guess than this one was, folks. You can even see my uncle's handwriting. December 7th, 1987, Capitol Center, Hacksaw King Duggan versus Harley Race. That's old school, folks. It's about as old school as it gets. My uncle there must have had a great time seeing Hacksaw beat up the Harley Race. And here's one that he took. Now, this is an interesting thing here. This is a guy who wrestled by the name of the Terminator. And I think this, I could be wrong, but I think this is the third brother of Animal, Johnny Ace, Johnny Laurinaitis. I think this is their third brother. I could be wrong on that. Is that? It's because this guy and Gangrel, David Heath, look very similar. And that's always kind of confused me. But this guy that I'm showing you a picture of is Road Warrior Animal's brother and Johnny Laurinaitis' brother, I believe. That's one of the Terminators. I think it was a tag team called the Terminators, but this guy was like Terminator #1 or some such thing. Or maybe there was just one Terminator. Maybe it was just, I think it was one Terminator and two Gladiators from Florida that were kind of like the artifacts of Florida Championship Wrestling when they died off in '87, and then they started dragging them in to Crockett, to Jim Crockett Promotions. I just watched Conrad's thing. For those of you that have access to Conrad's ad-free shows, I just watched the Jim Crockett Jr. interviews 1 and 2. I thought they were very good. They were from like, I think March or May of 2021, and I didn't watch them at the time. I started to, but I finally got around to it. I'm trying to do this thing now, guys, where I project things on ad-free shows onto my TV. And you guys can do that with my videos too. If you want to see these videos in a bigger picture, maybe not just these, but things like The Impeccable, my award-winning short film, some of the stuff I have on the Mikey Tiers members list for only 99 cents a month. You can see some AEW clips you won't see anywhere else, including the House Always Rules. I think that's worth the price of admission alone. And some Suicide Girls footage that's too hot for YouTube standardly. So I put that on the Mikey Tiers, only 99 cents a month. Also, I've been working on my book. So there'll soon be a second edition. The content is not going to be changed terribly much, but the layout will be changed a bit. So for those of you that want to get a copy of this, do it now, because it's going to be the first edition over on Amazon, and so on and so forth. Any more comments, gentlemen? So what I'm going to start doing, guys, I'm trying to be a little less hateful of the current product. I've done that for 2 or 3 years now, hating on WWE. And now that there's an alternative that I can enjoy, current modern day wrestling, for better or for worse. And I still watch some WWE. I'm not going to lie to you. I watch the premium events. I kind of enjoy those. And tomorrow I might do a live feed tomorrow. I might do some videos tomorrow during the Crown Jewel thing, which I've even softened my stance on that a little bit. I think it's a mixed bag. I think the shows in Saudi send a mixed message. I mean, ultimately they're doing it for the money. WWE is doing their shows for the money, but if there is some inspiration for the women in the audience, maybe it is a good thing. Maybe it's a bad thing. Maybe it's a good thing and a bad thing at the same time. But Eric, I want to thank you again, buddy. I still got to get through that whole Game Changer show. You sent me a kind of a link to. I got to watch that whole thing. But I did tell my buddy Eric there that Nick Gage is actually coming to Florida, and I might go to that show. I'm kind of pontificating it. I just saw today that there's like 3 or 4 wrestling shows coming to Florida, and Nick Gage is on one of them, and it's supposed to be some hardcore wrestling show. And there's also micro wrestlers are coming, midgets, or if they, I don't know if they can call them midgets, little people, wrestlers, but nice to see the micro brawlers. They're not the micro brawlers. The midgets are coming. I'm thinking about I just sold an El Generico guy today on eBay, But anyway, here's Barry Windham for you. Like I said, I'm still having problems seeing myself in this monitor, so I'm just worried about the video. But if you guys have any other questions or comments, please do. I appreciate you guys hanging with me. It's a Friday afternoon. We get the whole weekend to fuck up. And this has been fun. So I don't know if LJN's still around, but thanks for chiming in. It's a good live. I appreciate you guys checking in. We had some fun. If there's any more comments, please do so. If not, I'll see you guys later. You can, and what I want to start doing is more videos where I kind of talk about old wrestling stuff. And I am putting stuff on eBay now just because I have so much stuff. I got to get room for more stuff, apparently. But you guys have a good weekend, and I'll see you soon. Okay, thanks for watching, gentlemen. Goodbye. Subscribe to Mike Messier YouTube channel. Thank you.